Well, hi, it's Robert Rodriguez, and I'm here for Hypnotic, which is a movie came up with 20 years ago. It was the longest gestated project. I wanted to do something in the mold of a Hitchcock film about a guy who's after someone relentlessly and can't catch them because they can't be caught. They have some superhuman ability beyond hypnosis that puts them on the case to find these sort of strange banking crimes that are happening, but it's tied in to the long lost unsolved mystery of the disappearance of his daughter some years before, and thinks there might be a connection or isn't sure if what's he's seeing is real. That's about as much as I can tell you because it's a lot of twists and turns, and hopefully, no one from the screening tonight posts any last night posts anything about it because it's very surprising and a lot of fun. Mariachi was always the easiest production to pull off because there was only me and a few people, and it was I didn't think anyone was going to watch it. Where this movie, there was always you wanted to deliver something, and before there was even a solstice or anything, there was a whole 15-year journey before that. So it was one that I stayed on the course because I loved the story. I loved it. Just always kept pulling at me to go do it. I thought someone else would have figured out a story like that within those 20 years and never had. So I thought, oh, there must be something to this that's kind of special and original. And I want to go do it. And by that point, once it's been 15 years already passed, as other challenges happen, they just challenges. And this was otherworldly challenges for everybody, the COVID shutdowns. It just made you more determined to finish it. And then as we had buyers already, we had to finish it. We have to deliver a movie to them. And that's where the resourcefulness of having done like an El Mariachi come in because I can just go do the whole thing in my studio, make that work story wise and make that an asset instead of a liability by just that's what helps about being one of the writers. Is we're changing pages daily to accommodate what we had to do to get it done. And I think that's what I always try to impart on an audience is you go and create your plan. It's really like a life lesson. That's what life's all about. You create your plan, you watch it fall apart, and the real creativity is rolling up your sleeves and figuring out a solution that is usually better than your original idea. So you have to go with the magic of the universe, and all the resistance you get is part of the magic to push you into another direction that sometimes might be better. And you heard the audience last night. They kind of liked all the stuff we had to do in order to. I was like, oh, I'm glad I had to change that. That was the total accident, or I had to do it that way because of the flood or because of the rain or whatever the catastrophe on any movie is. If you come up with the right solution because of that pushback, it's the universe pushing you in another direction. So by this point, you welcome it and go, okay, I have to go this route for a reason. I'm not going to fight it. I just got to roll with it, like you do in life. What was the look going to be when he was in the movie? Like if everyone is in reality in these, one thing. What is it when he's in? When you're in a hypnotic spell, what is that like? I was not supposed to give any of that away, but I just wanted the movie to have a look that was felt like a movie, like a Tony Scott movie or a Ridley Scott movie or a Michael Mann movie. That's the widescreen, it's the long lens, it's the grainier films, the saturated color. I wanted it to just have that feeling. It's where everyone's wearing leather jackets. They feel like they're in a hyper real world. I wanted that feel to Hypnotic, classical 80s, 90s action film feel that we hadn't seen in a long time. And I don't usually shoot anamorphic and all that. It's slower, it takes more time, but it gives you that look. So we went for that, and that was a lot of fun. There were a couple of missing scenes, but it's funny. I did that in Grindhouse. I left out. I did a thing called Missing Reel because Quentin told me a story. He was showing us one of his prints. It was like an Italian, thriller or something. He said, "This movie's really odd. In my collection, I have it, and it's actually missing a reel. So there's 20 minutes in the middle of the movie that's not here because they lost the reel. So, but you don't really notice. It was a subplot anyway. The only thing that's odd is that people who are friends, I mean, enemies before in the movie, suddenly they're friends all of a sudden, like in the next scene. And I thought that's really interesting. Like you could have missing scenes in a movie or a whole reel, and you might not even notice it actually make the movie better. So, like rip a bunch of pages out. So I noticed that it still played really well, but I think I would definitely want to try and finish my original idea. I don't like sequels.
I know.
I love doing. We actually did a sequel to Shark Boy and Lava Girl called "We Can Be Heroes."
That's a good short boy and little girl.
Spy Kids 2, Spy Kids 3, Spy Kids 4, Spy Kids 5.
Okay, good.
I love being able, I always thought it was such a strong idea. You could do a television series from something like that. It could do another movie. You always want to keep yourself a little bit open and not make it too close. But I didn't want to necessarily say that right away, so I put it as a mid credit sequence so people can, if they discover it, great. It played great last night because they'll have to wait for the Q&A, so they all got to see it, and it was cool to see everybody get really quiet again and watch very intently and hear the surprise reaction and then the reaction. It was like such a quick change in reactions as two double surprises happen. Finishing right now another Spy Kids, 20 years, over 20 years later from the original. Yeah, so that was really bizarre to be on the original green screen that I shot the first ones, and you're shooting a whole new one. And my kids now, who are stunt kids in the Spy Kids movies, for now my co-composer, co-writer, co-producer, co-editor, and is really awesome. Full circle. That was the first movie I did in my original studio. So to be in the same studio, having done so many of those, self-created, created here in Austin. Again, that'll be a fun screening to have with the Austin audience, because it's like, this is ours. We created, these are things we've created here with the crew here. And I was talking about regional filmmaking. I was so inspired about regional filmmakers like John Waters in Baltimore, George Romero in Pittsburgh, because I knew I didn't want to move to LA. And that's what people said. If you want to make movies, you have to be in LA. But I liked it here. I liked being home. I thought home is where the creativity was, because wherever you're most comfortable, you get the most creative because you're in your element. You're not doing a rat race somewhere. And then hat in hand, asking people for permission to do something. You could just build your own film community, even a small one around you, and do whatever you want with your friends. And once I sold Mariachi, it was like, clearly that was the case. We don't need anything. Let's just stay here. And Rick had the exact same idea at the same time. So between Rick Linkletter and I, we kind of set up our own little hub here. South by Southwest, if you remember, was a music festival. The film division was like really small on the side, and then that overtook. It was just crazy to see how much support there was for the Austin film scene. That's why we're just so grateful. And I try to inspire other filmmakers, stay, where you are if you're not in one of the hubs, and try and build up your film community, because you see the reciprocal thing that happens. You inspire other filmmakers. It's changed so much. In the old days, someone would say, hey, I'm aspiring filmmaker. How do I make a movie? Everybody who said that last night had already made a film, though. They said, I want to be a filmmaker, and I've already made a film, and here it is. And, they're all doers now. So you transform the landscape, because they see you do it, and then they get inspired, and now they all work together on movies. And it's just a wonderful thing that you created accidentally, but it becomes a real community.
Machete in space. Machete in space. Machete in space.
That's so funny. Everybody still says that. Danny calls me all the time. He films a whole audience that he's speaking to, and they're all saying "Machete in space," and then he turns the phone around, looks at me, and goes. Well, that's why I put a fake trailer for that on Machete too, so to kind of satisfy them. Okay, this is pretty much what it would look like, but you can see it in 2 minutes rather than 2 hours, and it never satisfies them. It never satisfies them. So we have to do one. But the original was just a fake trailer. The original was just a fake trailer on Grindhouse, and I recorded the audience reaction, and I put it on the Blu-ray of Planet Terror. You can't hear half the trailer. When it first came up, people were so shocked. Danny was the lead. Cheech was it. They're cheering so loud, and we're kind of taken aback, and because they'd never seen a Latin hero. They would bug us for 5 years. When's that movie coming out? I said, it was a fake trailer. No, but it looked real. When is it coming out? So we got to make it for them. So 5 years later, I made that movie. It wasn't meant to be a film. So the audience just wanted it. So we have to give it to them, because when someone wants something that bad, I've never had that with any movie before. And now everyone's still Machete in space. You can't give them enough. But even those who weren't Latin, they wanted to see that too. It's like, yeah, they want to see the diversity too. They want to see other stories. Quentin and I, we're going to work again. I know officially right now, no, but I don't see him that much because of COVID. I just saw him though for his book tour. He was here in Austin, and I don't know. I'm sure we would love to, but he's got kids. He's having a fun time. I think him doing another movie is the right way to go. We got to do so much great stuff together. and time is more limited now. So that might be it. But you never know. Shoot, we're still really great friends and like to work together. So.